Do this. Jamar Jones, we are live. We are listening to our lounge music.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. I need like a latte.
What happened? My screen just got real big and I don't know why. You see that on your end? This is going really well so far.
No. You're still good.
I'm still good?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
give me a second here because I can't see you. I love going live because we yes and these little things that happen. Okay, I'm going to bring down this lounge music. Let's get to the point, shall we? We're going to talk. We're going to talk to you today. We're going to have a conversation about personal brand, why it's important for you as a speaker. This is the Speakers Lounge. I meet with a new guest once a month, every Monday or not every Monday, once a month on the first Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern time to talk about how you can up your game as a speaker.
Sounds fun.
Doesn't it?
Sounds like a lot of fun.
I'm excited about it. And so I'm excited to have a conversation with you. And Jamar, you and I met because we were connected by who connected us? Somebody amazing.
Oh my God. Oh, was it Jamie?
Jamie. Yes.
Yeah, Jamie. Yeah, shout out Jamie.
Shout out to Jamie.
It's a reminder. I probably need to connect with her.
Me too. That's why we do these things.
Yeah, I probably need to do that.
So we're gonna talk today. Well, we met. You did a retreat for your community here in New York City.
Yeah,
and it was fun. And I found that we have this one thing in similar, which is that we like to create experiences with the people that we work with, intentional experiences where it's you did a billboard in Times Square for everybody. You had different guest speakers. You really tried to offer a lot of value for that retreat, and it was in New York City, so there was a lot to do. So talk to me a little bit about Foureva Media and your mission, and we'll get started on this conversation for how to elevate your brand.
Yeah, well, thank you, Meredith, for having me on here, first of all, and introducing me to your peeps. So Foureva Media, really at the core, it's brand and business advisory, is what we focus on. So it's about leveling up your brand as an entrepreneur. And typically we work with like 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs, growing their personal brands or their company brands, but also the business side of it. So we've really been honing in on creating offers also, because a lot of people are great at what they do and the skill set and what they offer to the world, but they're terrible at packaging it. And then they struggle when it comes down to, hey, I keep pitching myself out here and I'm not getting as many gigs as I would like, or I'm not getting as many clients as I would like. And they're terrible at packaging what they, their uniqueness, and what they offer to the world. So we help people grow those brands and businesses, and been doing it for 10 years now, which is crazy. To say the least. And also we host experiences. So we bring people together, like you said, done some large conferences, retreats, get-togethers. I think this year we're just going to be focused on just bringing people together. Life is so busy. And I think just bringing people together, we don't need giant agendas. I think just bringing people together and, just magic happens when you change your circle.
Oh, I agree 100% about that. And so let's back up just a little bit. Tell me, what do you feel like when it comes to personal brands and you find these individuals who are brilliant, and you talk about their messaging and it not being clear? Can you give us an example of like, what do you feel is like the number one problem that they have when they come to you?
Oh man, scattered.
Okay.
Scattered. Everything is all over the place, scattered. They want to do everything for everybody, and it just doesn't work that way. They're not very clear in who they serve. They're not very clear in their own brand and their own like what is their talk about or what is their business about. They also have a lot of stuff all over the place and have never really thought of like, okay, what is it going to take for me? Let's say for just a speaker,
Yeah.
since this is the speakers lounge, we got to be talking about speakers. So for speakers, like, what is it actually going to take for me to stop charging 1,000? And how do I get to 3,000 a speech? How do I get from 3,000 to 5,000? How do I get from 5,000 to 10,000 and beyond that? What does it actually take? Or am I just running around just speaking and I'm not really thinking about how to get to the next level? I'm just doing what I do and hopefully that it's all going to work out. That's the main thing, is that it's the scatteredness, and they need direction and they need clarification in their story and their message.
Beautiful. So what do you think is one action step people can start taking besides hiring you?
That would be the first step.
That'd be the first one.
So I think that one thing that really helps is, and we kind of talked about this in our retreat as well, is when you look at your talk, what action items do people actually leave with? What deliverables does your talk produce? Not just that you're really good on stage, not that you have, X amount of years experience in your field or industry, but what do people really walk away with?
Mhm.
And what do they really learn? And then asking yourself, would you hire that person if they actually delivered those things? Uh,
Right.
because I think far too many times people just wanna get booked, and they don't realize that the companies that are hiring you for a reason.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
they wanna change something within their organization. They want to change their leadership or the way on how the teams interact, or they want to grow their sales. They wanna grow their marketing. They want, to figure out how to gel better as a team. They wanna figure out how to be more diverse, or they wanna, like, there's so many different avenues,
Mhm.
but you have to solve a problem
Mhm.
when you're going
Mhm.
in there. So the first step is, what problem do you actually solve?
What problem do you actually solve, and who is this particular unique audience, and what is it that they're needing?
Yeah,
And, do you find I find too that a lot of speakers don't take enough time getting to know their audience, like, do that deep dive before they
yeah.
because sometimes I feel they just get so stuck in the content and what they want their
Mhm.
message to be, or they make the assumption that this audience is just as similar as the last audience that they spoke for, and
Yes.
so they're not crafting a unique experience for that particular.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you gotta know, you gotta put yourself in the shoes of the audience that
Yep,
you're going to, for those audience members, and you want to solve their problems,
yep,
um, because oftentimes that's how you're gonna get spin-off business, and that's how you're gonna get rehired, is if you solve an actual problem. And so I start there because then we can kind of reverse engineer
mhm,
the rest of who they are, their talk, how are you presenting that talk, and then you start to dissect the how. Like, how then are you delivering on the problem
mhm,
that you're solving?
mhm,
Um, and then you can kind of reverse engineer that all the way back into your own story of who you are, what you do, and why should I book you? And
yeah,
there's that goes pretty deep, but I think a first step is definitely figuring out what problem you solve, putting yourself in the shoes of your own audience, and just making sure that you're actually solving that problem within your presentation.
beautiful. I love it, I love it, and I also feel that there's this a heavy dose of believing in yourself too, that
Mhm,
mindset piece. And when we talk about, do I charge 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 as a speaker? Yes, it's experience. Yes, it's honing in on how you're solving that problem and those actionable steps that people can take once you've left the space.
mhm.
And everyone's gone home and they're unpacking their suitcase and they pull out that swag and they're like, my life was changed.
My life was
Right?
changed
Like,
forever.
forever. Um, it's also that belief that you have in yourself and that belief in the value that you personally bring. Because if you don't believe that, then it's going to be real difficult for someone to yes and that $5 or $10,000.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got to have the confidence to
Yeah,
deliver. And if you don't, you're never going to get to the level up phase.
no.
If you just don't have the confidence. And if you don't have the confidence, that's just one of two things. So one, You just have to hone into your craft as a speaker and have to be more comfortable on stage. And so
Mhm.
that's a whole nother thing, which Meredith is very good at. To get
Thank
you
you.
comfortable on stage. And number two is that you just don't know what the heck you're talking about.
Yeah,
Like literally.
yeah,
Like anybody that really knows what they're talking about should be able to talk about it and
yes.
be able to, and now ways of how you're educating people and how they're receiving that information and how they turn it. It's a whole nother conversation. But if you actually know the material and you live it, then that should be, the confidence level should be there. If you don't, then you need to change. And that's actually a great point. Actually, want to talk about this really quick, is that speakers oftentimes talk on too many topics.
Yes, I would agree.
Way too many topics. They just start throwing out left, right, and center. I know a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. But then you get caught with your pants down when the audience starts to ask you questions, or you start to explain certain things that you really don't understand 100% about. And you shouldn't do that.
I
Um,
Yeah, I would agree.
yeah, you can get away. I mean, you can get away with it for a little bit, but if you really want to hone in and be a consistently booked paid speaker, you need to lock in.
Lock
You
in.
got to lock
Look,
in.
I always say to people, if all your tech went out and you had no, teleprompter or confidence monitor there in front of you, would you be able to just speak to your audience about your topic without
Yeah.
freaking out?
That's a good test. That's
Right?
a good
And
test.
if the answer is yes, then you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question
100.
here from Christopher. Christopher Wagner, thank you for being here. What is the best and worst thing someone can do in building their personal brand?
The best and worst thing. Um, I mean, the best thing is to hone in on your story and who you are, and dive deep into the uniqueness, the unique factor about you, and don't run away and try to, I guess the worst thing is that you could do is copy somebody.
Yeah,
Just too many copycats around here. Way
there
too
are.
many copycats when we're all uniquely individual, and we need to hone in on that and just keep just showing who we really are, what our interests are, what we like, what we dislike, and just share those things and be just organic about it, be natural. But if you're gonna keep copying everybody, I can smell it.
And I will say, like, I feel like it's developmental in a way, like, especially if you're leaving corporate and going into your own thing, you're an entrepreneur for the first time, you've got a ton of knowledge, but it's like even in corporate, finding that personal brand,
Yeah,
it can feel uncomfortable at first. It could feel like, oh, it's a
for
little bit
sure.
like you feel exposed. It can be vulnerable. It's like, do I wear the tennis shoes because I'm comfortable, or do I wear the heels? Right? Like you kind of got to figure out how to find your own personal style and voice in
Yes.
and that can be hard because there is a lot of noise. We are inundated on the socials.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shoulds and should nots, and so I just say embrace you in the best way possible. And the only way you can start to figure that out, I have found, is like you got to show up and you got to start communicating your point of view, and it's gonna feel scary, and people are not gonna always like you,
Which is okay.
which is
And
totally
actually, you
okay.
kind of want that.
Yes,
You kind of
agreed.
want that. And I'm about to go deeper into that this year,
Yeah,
for myself,
me too. It's scary.
because like I just don't. You don't need to be liked by everybody, because it's kind of like in sales, right? So in
Mhm.
sales, you have a product or a service and you want to sell it to another individual, but you don't want everybody to buy your product, because not everybody is the right client or the right customer,
Yeah,
because they may buy your product or service and they don't value it, or maybe they misuse it. Maybe they are a needy client, and they're in a couple, or maybe they just can't afford your services
yep.
or afford the product. You don't want somebody with no money buying a Benz. You know, you don't want that. That's not a good customer. That's not a good client, because you're going to be chasing that man for the rest of your life.
And we don't want to be doing the chasing.
We don't want to be doing the
No.
chasing. So it's the same thing with our brands. We
Yep.
don't want to appeal to everybody. We want the people that are going to know, like, and trust us and accept us for who we are and go deeper into that. So we don't want everybody.
Oh, and that goes back to that confidence piece again. It's like you've got to be confident enough in your brand. You got to be confident enough in your services and what value you bring to where you can say, you can tell people no.
Yes.
You get to shop your clients, right?
Exactly. You're in control.
You are in control. Okay, we have a few more comments here. So we have Damien. He commented on he had the exact situation last week when doing an intro at a user group. Thankfully, he knew his audience as a speaker. Oh, we have a question about how to overcome the freeze during public speaking. I want to hear from you first, my guest, and then I have a couple of things too. Do you have anything?
Yeah. Okay. I just talked about this last Friday to a group of youth, and they had a capstone project that they're about to deliver and present on. And so freezing. Okay. How to uncover freezing public speaking, even though you're not frightened. So the freezing happens for a number of reasons. One is anxiety. So maybe you're not frightened, but the anxiety of just talking to a group of people. So if you're freezing, one, you're not practicing enough. So you just need to get in front of the mirror, put some teddy bears or a dog or a cat, or just get us something and just practice. You need to go out there and practice. I say this all the time. Athletes at the highest level are still practicing, watching film, watching tape, looking back at games that they just played. They're still in the gym. They're running the same sets and the same plays over and over again and getting paid millions to do it. And they're still practicing. What makes you any different? Why are you not practicing? Why are you not putting in the reps? So you got to put in the reps, to get out there. And then second, as far as the frightened feeling, is you got to have a little self-love for yourself. And just know that whatever you think the people are thinking about you in the crowd, they're not. They don't care. They don't care as much. We value other people's opinions so much that we get in our own heads about things. And when we're trying to then deliver, we're like, oh my God, what's this person thinking? What are they thinking? What are they going to think about me? What am I wearing? No one cares that much. Honestly, you have all the control when you're in front of the room, because they, first of all, are like, wow, all eyes are on you, and you already got the kudos because you're up there in front of everybody.
Yes.
Already. So you got to just know that they don't, whatever they're thinking, they're not thinking it. So 95% of whatever you're thinking about that they're thinking about you is not happening. So just wash that away and have some self-love and like, I'm just going to give it my best shot here no matter what. And that's going to help build some confidence where you're not going to just freeze. And also just pause. My last tip is that if you're presenting and you ever get that freezing moment, just pause. Just pause slowly. Think, gather your thoughts. It's not awkward. It's not weird. Honestly, it just adds a little bit more dramatic elements to it.
Love the suspense.
And just pause. Those would be, there's a lot more I could go into it, but that would be 3 things. So hopefully that helps you.
I love it. Yeah. And sometimes even when we are well practiced, we can freeze. Like, I can't tell you when I was acting, we would rehearse the heck out of those things. I'd get on stage and I'd be in the middle of a monologue in front of an audience and I'd be like, oh, where the fuck am I? And you have to continue. You commit to the moment. You just commit to the moment. And sometimes that can look like telling your audience, I don't know where I'm at.
Yes.
And that's okay because you're a human. I have done that on stage where I'll stop and I'll be like, I have no idea where I'm at right now because I was just talking. It's like my brain dropped off of a cliff. And so I will grab a glass of water or I'll connect with an audience member, but it's really lovely when your audience can be on your side as well. So rally them in. Joseph, thank you for the kind comment about people not who doesn't like Meredith, I thank you. I love you. For practice, record it. Yes, I would say another great way, in concert with what Jamar just said, was here's one tactic you can do for practice, which is, yes, practice with video. Record yourself standing up, please. And then when you play it back first without the sound. Look at body language only. How am I conveying myself with those nonverbal cues? And then play it back with sound only. You're not watching it, so you can hear, and then play back the whole entire thing. That's another great way to practice, especially if you can't get in front of an audience or those stuffed animals are being held captive by your child. We have some other stuff here too. So do I have a question thinking about last year I went from no in-person speaking engagements to 7, and I've really found my footing, but introducing other speakers last month felt very different. What are your tips for preparing for event intros? Awesome. And keynotes where you are preparing for other speakers as opposed to delivering something yourself?
Oh,
It's a
okay.
good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. So introducing other speakers. Interesting. So Damien, just for clarification, how much time do you have before you're introducing the next speaker? And are you saying like, hey, you have 15 minutes before a speaker comes out that you got like your moment and then you're passing it off? Or are you talking about like an MC moment where maybe you only have a couple of minutes to bring somebody on the stage? I'm just curious because those are two different things.
Yeah.
I've done both, so that's why I'm just wondering what you mean. All right.
Well,
Excuse me.
while he's typing that up, I will say, why don't we dive into, if you get 15 minutes and you're introing the other
Yeah.
speakers that are going to speak for that same event. I always say you got to start with a hook. You got to start with a story.
Yeah.
Uh, some
100%.
Yeah, and then you can introduce those other 2 speakers. If it's something that's a little bit like quick and let's just intro those other speakers. Again, anything you can do to get your audience engaged from the
Yeah.
very top.
I love the hook. You can start off with something very impactful, shocking. Start off with something funny.
Hmm.
You have to do something to grab the audience immediately,
Yep.
and then you need to have a little bit of some meat in the middle. So, like, what is the learning lesson? And then you need to have a send off. So you need to have something that really ties it in a bow, and it's also a good handoff to the next person that you're also kind of queuing them up. So you could even use a couple of sentences at the very end to just pass that off to the next
Mhm.
speaker. Now, I don't know if you're presenting them or if you're getting off stage and then and they're just another person coming up. But I remember when I did BMW. So I spoke for BMW. And so it was very strange because we only had a couple of minutes to basically pitch ourselves for you to come into our breakout room. And it was speaker after speaker after speaker. Now, I went first. And I'm so glad I didn't go after Precious Williams because nobody wants to
No
do
one
that.
wants to go after Precious
Nobody
Williams.
wants to do that. Nobody.
No,
I
I
even
love
told her, I
her.
said,
I love
Lord,
her.
please
Oh my
let me
god.
be before you.
First of all, follow myself and Jamar here on LinkedIn, and then you got to go follow Precious Williams.
Nobody wants that. Um, but I just went up there and I first started with a hook. Oh, crowd interaction. So if you can do any type of crowd interaction just to get them to say something with you or to be present in the moment, like that immediately grabs their attention. They were locked in. And then I had some impactful stuff in the middle as far as like a story. And then towards the end, I kind of just did the icing on the cake of why they should. Like if you are trying to do X, Y, and Z, I can solve that, and you got to show up because you will not regret it. Like it's something about making sure, once again, you got to solve a problem for people. Yes, they want to be entertained and they want a great speaker, but you got to solve a problem. That's the number one thing that why people are going to engage and want to listen.
Yeah, I love this, Jamar. And so Damien put in there too that it's for an AWS user group. So I would say, Damien, definitely, yes, you want to figure out what that hook is for the user group as well, whether that's a problem within that particular user group that needs to be identified and solved. Maybe it's opening it up with a question, an open-ended question to get a conversation started, or to collect more information about that particular user group so that you can incorporate it later into your presentation. But anything to get people involved in the conversation, because I do feel like the one thing that Mark Pergola mentioned last week with the speakers lounge, we had a special episode with him, was you're a teacher. So what would a teacher do? That teacher would ask questions. It would find ways to get the students involved so that the learning and the conversation is more impactful. So I would say that would be the same when it comes to an introduction. Like we've got to create experiences for people anymore. Our attention spans are too short. We all have devices in our pockets, so we're all constantly being distracted. We have to change how we fundamentally connect with audiences.
Yes. And also, I would just want to add just one tip, just that I actually learned from Meredith. So one thing is like, so she at our retreat, she basically had us do like some crazy exercises as far as like just to and it really was just to get you out of your comfort zone, get you moving, but also just to show you different levels of like engagement. And so I would just don't underestimate the power of just inflection of your voice
Yeah.
of most, especially in those user groups. Everybody's monotone. Everybody's like, all right, welcome guys. And it's just like, oh my goodness. All right. So you gotta like, even if you go up in your voice and really just like get everybody here with you, like, come on, we gonna have a great time. Hey, let's all be present. Lock in, just
Yeah.
go up with it. That might be good. Or you can even go really low and just be like, hey, I'm not going to be like the average monotone unless you want me to be like this, and then you just kind of make a joke out of it or something. But I'm just saying, like, don't underestimate just going up and down if you're not comfortable, being like super outgoing and doing some crazy stuff on stage. Just those little tips, they really help with audience engagement as far as
Yeah.
just getting a response from them.
Oh my goodness, yes. Inflection, changing where you are in space too.
Yeah.
Um, being able to like I love it when speakers leave the stage. I love it. Or they sit on the lip of the stage, or they
Yeah.
do anything to show and broadcast, I just wanna be a part of the community.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
love it. I just think it's great because as a trained actor, I was taught the whole theater is my stage. It's not
Mm.
just the stage itself.
Yes. Yes. That's
And
good.
you as a speaker, you get to use your space. And I always say, think about because sometimes as speakers, we'll go into a space or a conference room and it's maybe 6 people. It's not 60 people or 6,000 people, but it's 6 people that you're actually presenting to. And having done many trainings, Jamar, and I don't know if you can speak into this too, but I will find out sometimes the day of, oh, the numbers, we didn't get the 30 people we thought we were going to get. Actually, there's
Mhm.
only going to be like 8 people there this time.
Mhm.
You as a facilitator, you as a presenter have an opportunity to make that space feel as inviting as possible and look at that as an opportunity. So that means instead of standing up, I might choose to just sit down with everybody,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I might choose to pull out the tables and put all the seats in a circle,
Yeah.
right? So it's about creating experience. I think that's what it boils down to for all.
Yeah. And also once again that takes repetition, takes practice for you to acknowledge and read the room to make those adjustments. I know when the nerves hit you, if you're just new and you have that opportunity presented to you, you might not have the forethought to be like, okay, let me just rearrange these chairs and do this stuff, but that comes with the reps.
Yep.
So you guys, you gotta like actually get out there and do some stuff, speak for free, go out there. Like if you're just starting, get out there and get some reps. I always relate everything to sports for the most part, because it's just such a very relatable thing. But like, how many shots has Steph Curry shot just in the park? Just going out, pickup games. I mean, man, that guy has shot the ball probably well over, I don't know, 500 million times. For him just to make, 12 shots, 12 3-pointers in a game, and everybody's like, yo, that's so many. Like, you got to put the reps in to get comfortable. But yes, it's about creating that experience. I've definitely sat with groups before and kind of changed the way on how I approach it, because when it's a smaller room, it's just more intimate. So you don't want to treat it like it's some gigantic room. If you only got 8 people in there, like, who are you?
I know. Well, I sometimes do these trainings for doctors, right? And so sometimes, they always put us at the end of the event. So sometimes doctors will just go home and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to have 50 people. I don't know if I'm going to have, So I always have them like move to the front. Otherwise, you're like speaking to an auditorium with like speckles of people.
Yeah.
Really,
yeah.
and it impacts everybody. It's
100%.
not just me as the speaker, but it also impacts the experience of the audience. So imagine if you're sitting in a huge space where you're all sprinkled about the room, it's kind of awkward.
Yeah. Super awkward.
Right?
Yes.
So how do we make it not awkward for people? How do we If you're like the host of your own party. If I was going to host a party at my house, I would have music playing, I would have a cocktail in your hand, I would invite you in warmly, I would offer you some food. Like, I want you to feel great. So think about
when am I coming through, Meredith?
Yeah. Yeah, you better come over.
What's going on? That sounds like a great time. That sounds fantastic.
Doesn't it? Okay, Jamar, let's talk. I'm going to put this QR code back up here because I want people to scan that code so they can find your website, learn more about you. You are a genius at helping people really distill down to their personal brands, find their authentic voice. And we talked about that at the beginning of this. Is there anything else that you can share with our audience about how do you like really embody your brand and your speaking voice in a way that gets noticed and is unforgettable?
Oh, so, that's a really loaded question, because
It is.
we all are so unique. So it's hard to just give you a blanket answer of what that is. And because I've coached and trained a lot of different entrepreneurs, speakers, authors. And what I would say is that, like, it's always different. You always find out something. So first, I would write down a list of all the things, like, what do you like to do? Write down all your hobbies, the things like your interests. Write down all of those things, and then write down all the things that you dislike. What are the things that you just don't agree with? The things that you dislike. The things that you're just like, yeah, that's a big no. That's a big no for me. I can't see it. This is where I draw the line. And then I would say, look at that list and then go back to your social media, go back to your website, go back to your presentation, go back to videos that you've done, and then say, is this person that I wrote down on for the interests and the dislikes, can I even see that in the content and in my brand when I'm putting it out there? Can you even see it? If you can't see it, then that means you're doing a terrible job of branding yourself. Because if you can't see it, then that means the people are trying to book you and hire you. They can't see it. Mm-hmm. And the reason why it's so important is because then you're just blending in with everybody else. You're just another one. You're another business coach. You're another entrepreneur that sells candles. You're another, like, you can go on and on. You're just another speaker. You're just another person that's going to come in, do their thing. Like, what's setting you apart? And oftentimes it's those unique things. Like, I dive into, that was a hip hop artist for 11 years of my life. I tell everybody that.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Not that I'm going to be coming in talking about hip hop. If you want me to, I can. I can. All right. I can, but I'm not. But the thing is because it separates me in a way where somebody's like, oh, you did that. That's interesting. Oh, man, that might be actually pretty entertaining if we book him. That might be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I can go on and on about just my interests, the things that I like to do. And so I always got a hat on every time. I just got a haircut. All right. So it ain't looking crazy under there. I just got a cut. But I always rock the hat because it's just me. I feel like I was born with a hat on. So it's just me. So I have all my branding, all the pictures, the photos you see on the website, the socials, everything. Like I got that. That's part of my brand. So you have to tap into who you are and just past all the things that's your talent or your skill set or the things that you've learned. You have to tap into you, because ultimately I think that people hire speakers. Yes, the aftermath is the problem you solve, but the difference maker of you getting the gig is because of you.
Yeah.
The uniqueness that you're going to bring to an audience. And if they feel like they're going to gel together, like, oh my God, that uniqueness with this audience, we've been looking for something different. And I think you're it. I think you're it. So that would be something I would do as just a quick check of what makes you unique and the things that you don't like as well. And make sure that's in your content and in your brand as well. Because once again, you want to like repel the people you don't want, and you want to attract the people that are like, yeah, that's me too. That's me too.
Yep. Yeah. And trust, you've got to trust that you will find your community.
Yes. 100%. Dude, there's a community for everything. Even the weirdest stuff out there on the planet Earth. Like, come on, guys. I know you've seen some stuff like there's a whole group. There's a whole group of people that are doing this. Like, what? Like, there's weird. There is stuff for everyone.
There is stuff for everyone. I feel like I just saw one of those weird communities the other day, and I like on TikTok or something, and I can't I don't know.
I'm just telling you, there's some even for the weird people out there. There's some for everybody. Man.
I mean, if you think of it, it's probably a community. Like people who collect vintage staplers. I mean, I don't know, right?
Yeah. Vintage staplers. They're out there.
They're out there. There's a community of vintage staplers out there.
And they're hardcore too. I guarantee it.
They're super hardcore.
I guarantee it. But that's what I'm saying. Like there is a community for you. 100%. Yeah. I do want to say one more thing. I don't know how many speakers that we have, listening or even watching the replay in the future. What I found out is that as far as like for paid speakers, like people that are actually trying to grow their speaking career, is you are only a couple of changes away from the difference between 1,000 and 10,000.
Yeah.
You're only a couple changes away. The reality is that most people get stuck because they don't have a plan, and also they're trying to level up and they don't exactly know what to level up to grow that.
Yeah.
And really the pathway that I see to somebody that the difference between $1,000 and $10,000 paid speaker is the 1,000 knows a little something, right? Mm-hmm. They maybe have a good circle of people, maybe their job also kind of give them a little bit of the clout, the positioning for them to be like, oh, okay, this is a vice president of this company, so like we're gonna hire that person to speak. So you already have something there. But the difference between that and a $10,000 speaker is they have that it factor, but they have their story lasered in, their story and their message. They also have their branding absolutely on point. They have a speaker's reel. They have a speaker sheet. They have a speaker website. They have photos. They have testimonials. They have the foundation that it's going to take them. So if somebody's going to find out about them, they can really discover them. Can
Yep.
people discover you? That's a great question. Can people discover you? And then the last thing is they have the confidence and the repetition because they've done it so many times to where they can charge what they charge because they actually said yes to raising their rates.
Yep.
Most
Yes.
people don't want to raise their rates because they're scared.
Yes. I always say raise your rates to where you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Because you
Yep.
never know.
Because you never know. Someone could say yes to it. Jamar, I love that. I'm going to give some steps for people to be thinking about to get to those places that you were talking about. At the beginning, you said speak for free. If you're new at speaking, I say, yes, tell everybody that you want to speak, all of those network groups that you belong to, the BNIs, the chamber groups, whatever, speak, offer yourself as a speaker. Always, always, if you can, get a recording. Maybe that's a concession if you're not going to get paid. So that's a video recording, or bring along your partner and have them record you, or have a friend or somebody in the audience record you on video. Get photos, get brand shots done, but constantly be connecting stuff for archive. Get those testimonials. Say, okay, I'll speak for free, but I'm going to get a test. Can I get 2 testimonials from you? Can I get a referral from you? So keep building it. Be smart about it when you do speak for free so that you're building that reel for yourself and those testimonials. And then that, when you start to put together your more professional package, you have that.
Yeah. 100%. That's
Yeah.
gold right there. That's gold for the free ski.
Yes.
For the free ski.
It's gold. There are so many. I can't believe how many talks too. Here's the other thing. I've done a lot of talks where there wasn't a professional videographer there. That it was just not
Yeah.
part of it, right? So that bummed me out because some of these talks were in front of hundreds of people.
Yeah.
So what do you do about that? Well, if you get to a point where you're like, oh, I really need that footage, then that's when you get to organize your own event.
Yeah.
Get some
Yeah.
bodies into a space, rent a theater, get a videographer, and get some footage of yourself.
Yeah. That's a great point. You know, if you're having issues with somebody booking you, just host your own party.
Host your own party.
Host
I
your own
mean,
party. Why not? Invest in yourself, get some people together,
yep,
and hey, you can get some photos and video of you on stage by doing that's great advice.
yeah,
That's fantastic advice. And yeah, a lot of people just they throw up so many different excuses of why they can't do something.
yep,
But there's the answer is really you got to look inward before you look outward. You know, a
yes,
lot of that stuff you got to look inward. And so like that is a perfect example of just put on your own event. If no one wants to book you, have you heard the saying like, "Oh man, there's no seat at this table. Get your own table."
get your own dang table. I mean, that was the one thing I learned being a theater artist for many years was like, I'm not going to wait around for somebody to cast me. When things were slow, I was constantly
Mm,
putting on shows or putting together improv shows or a
mm,
theater event or producing with somebody else, because that's often too how people get found. We
yeah,
talk about like, are you going to be found? Well, who knows who shows up to that if you invite people from the public?
yeah. You have no clue.
You have no idea.
You have
And
no
you can
clue.
actually be a little bit more strategic too. You
Hmm.
can invite like I casting people. Well, you wouldn't want to, casting people, but people who managers or bureaus.
Yeah, 100%. You know, I think we had talked about this, but I just feel like because you were in theater and part of casting calls and all this, like I just think that people that come from the entertainment space are just
Mhm.
a little more scrappy.
We're very scrappy.
That's
We're
just that
very scrappy.
because like you know I'll coach people like executives that are trying to grow their thought leadership or presence and things like of that nature. And uh you know everything is kind of like it's like this big thing,
Yeah.
and it's like all we got to do is this, and it's like, oh man, why didn't I even think about it like that? I think we just got a scrappy mindset, just entertainment. Like you got to be scrappy.
You gotta
you
be
know?
scrappy. You gotta be constantly thinking about how you can improve yourself and get yourself out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's just a framework of how our minds work within the entertainment space. That's why, when you get entertainment type people in your circle, I think it's really good.
Yeah,
It just helps you be a little more creative and the approach of how you're doing things.
yeah, yeah. And there's so many more resources out there now to where you can put things together pretty easily. If you can make
Yeah.
a restaurant reservation and
Exactly.
you can book yourself an Airbnb,
Yep.
you're halfway there,
You're halfway there. 100%.
right?
100%. Yeah, yeah. Yo, that's fantastic. Like there's so many different ways to do it, but people just need to see you in front of an audience.
Yep,
It doesn't have to be super large. Um, and they have to know like know that you actually know what you're talking about.
yep, exactly.
So that's why people need video. They need photos of you actually doing what you say you want to do.
Yep,
Because if you don't got none of that, but you're trying to say, "Oh, I have $5,000 to speak," really,
yeah,
really, but we haven't seen nothing.
yep,
Like you can't charge. I mean, you can, but you're probably not going to get booked. But I mean, if you want to charge $5,000 and don't have any type of like just no proof, no social proof of anything, it's just gonna be a really hard battle for you.
yeah, yeah. Which also get out there and one way you can start to develop your brand voice, and please speak into this more, Jamar,
Hmm.
is start doing social media, like do videos, do LinkedIn lives, do YouTube, get into audio rooms. Do those still exist? I don't even know. Uh,
I don't know. I haven't been
I don't know.
invited to any.
I haven't either. Long gone are the days of Clubhouse. And get guest on podcasts, like you, or
Yeah.
start your own podcast. But the more you speak, especially about the things that you are so brilliant at,
Hmm.
the quicker you're going to figure out your unique voice in all of the voices.
100%. 100%. It actually reminds me. So you introduced me to Alfonso.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Great guy,
We
powerful
love
story.
Alfonso.
So towards the end of our one of our last sessions that we had, I kind of just gave him the game for social media. And
Mhm.
what's crazy is this guy took what I said to heart. He has been posting almost every day. Um, and it's like slowly growing on social media. Let me see. Oh, he has one new post already. He's on podcast, dude. This guy's everywhere now. The
Yep.
heck?
Yep.
Um, but I said, dude, some people need to hear your story, and he's trying to get his story out there. I said, dude, you gotta just post, just post on social media. Like just tell people a little snippet or a
Yep.
story, or even a small segment of a story every single day. You got to get the repetition of just turning on the camera and getting out this content, getting out your message out there, because you might not be getting thousands of views, but somebody's watching,
Somebody's
right?
watching. Yep.
Somebody's watching. I mean, I know certain speakers that they don't even have really an audience on social, and they're getting paid to speak because
Yep.
the right people are watching their stuff. And that's just the repetition of that is just so important, because you want to get your body in the habit of constantly speaking.
Yep.
Don't just be going for game time and don't have any, once again, reps, practice. Like you need to constantly be doing it so you don't be looking crazy and rusty up there. When you actually do get an opportunity, like, oh man, I really blew that one. I was stumbling all over the place. I didn't have my stuff together. It's because you're not really doing it.
Yeah, it's like what you keep saying, you gotta put in the reps.
Yeah,
You
you
just
got to
put in
put
the
in the
reps,
reps.
and you never know what's gonna come of it either. Like, I've had some amazing opportunities come from showing up and just doing,
Yes.
some random video that I was, like, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's like the random video that I was, like, totally convinced was not gonna connect with anybody, did,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've Business Insider reached out to me last year, and I got to write an article for Business Insider. I've had people invite me to be on podcasts, and sometimes it was from content that I didn't think was very good.
Yeah. Yeah. But you did it though.
But I did it. You
And
gotta
that's the
show up.
thing. You don't know what's gonna resonate or connect with somebody, but that's I mean, you're like the millionth person I've heard that from.
Yeah.
The thing that you spend the most time to try to like put it all together and polish and
Those
you know all that stuff, and then it's like, oh, dude, this didn't even go. But the one thing that you just posted just randomly and didn't even think about it, like, yo, why is so many? Why
Oh
is
my
that
god.
blowing up right now?
Yeah, I know. I remember I posted this thing. I was sitting on my bed. My hair looked like hell. It was like during the pandemic. And I did this like video really nonchalantly about how not to start a presentation. And I'm sitting there eating pizza and watching a movie with my family. And my phone literally was like blowing up. And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And I got over 1 million views on that stupid thing.
Nice.
It was pretty incredible. I was like, I'm
Nice.
living the dream. I've arrived.
That's incredible. See but
It
it's just about doing it though.
it is.
You
It
kept
really, really
doing
is.
it and doing it and doing it like, and so it's not, I oftentimes like companies or people are trying to, go viral, or they're just trying to find that thing to have every video pop off. It just doesn't work that way. You just have to constantly be consistent, and just keep doing it. Keep knocking on the door. Eventually it's going to open. That's there is no, I know people will try to tell you there's somewhat a format to how to have your video content or your social media content do better. There definitely is like some foundational stuff, but what beats all is consistency and repetition. It's just keep doing it over and over again.
Keep
That
doing
would
it.
beat that one all day. There's some like, I forgot, some Harvard thing. I forgot what it was, but somebody did a test where it was like, um people put out like a video every, like a polished, overproduced video like once a week, versus somebody just taking their phone and just doing like 3 videos a day or something like that. And it
Mhm.
was just like really just sporadic and just whatever's on the top of their head. And it was very uncut type stuff.
Mhm.
And the uncut stuff won at the end of like the challenge. I think they did it for like, I think it was like 3 months they did
Mhm.
this for.
Mhm.
And I mean, some of the polished stuff did okay, but
Mhm.
not even close to just the uncut, just throwing it out there.
Do you think
Mm.
people are just tired of the overly polished?
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, yeah. I think they're totally, I mean, I'm definitely like, I'm burnt out over the polished stuff.
I'm burnt out. Yeah, I think there's this intersection, at least this is my feeling, that we're at this intersection of I'm burnt out on the polished stuff, but now I'm noticing that the more raw, like kind of like off the cuff footage is now turning into like TikTok shop. I feel like has kind of ruined that for creators a little bit
Mm.
because now I'm like, okay, you're off the cuff and raw, but you're also pitching me a product,
Yeah,
right?
100%. Yeah.
Like,
Yep. Yep, yep.
so I feel I'm feeling my bumpers come back up again,
Yeah.
but when I
Good point.
see but when I
Mm.
see though, like if it's an entrepreneur who isn't sponsored, um, I'm I do still appreciate those, but I feel like there's a balance that we've all got to be doing. One is you just got to show up, and then the second one is I think it's not giving a shit, Jamar.
Yeah.
About what your
Seriously.
It's really about not giving a shit about what your audience thinks about you, as long as you believe in what it is that you're sharing.
It's so hard to do that too,
It
Meredith. I mean,
really is.
it is. I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, that's why I'm about to like, I've taken a little bit of a social media break
Yeah.
for the past couple months, just been going through my own kind of
Mhm.
mental state of doing. I've been grinding for 10 years, like
Yeah.
just going in. And I felt myself like I just needed to pump the brakes a little bit. And so that's why it's okay, guys, to, if you're going like into hyperdrive like I was, it's okay to pump the brakes every once in a while. But like, I really sat and thought about kind of what I want my content to represent. Um, and that's kind of what I'm leaning into now is going to be like a lot of this, like just not caring. I'm also trying to bring more human, like I'm trying
Mhm.
to humanize business more.
Mhm.
Because I just feel like every time I go on social media, everybody's killing it. And it's
Yep.
just not the case.
Yep.
I'm talking with entrepreneurs, all different sizes of businesses, and they're going through some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's going through
Yeah.
some stuff, even if they're scaling or they're growing, like they're still going through some hard. So I just want to like have a mixture of humanized content
Uh-huh.
and not just everything is like I'm just killing it all the time,
Yeah.
because it's just not relatable.
No, it's not. And it confuses the narrative.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It just so that's that and so I think that for other people that are putting out content, like you definitely don't care what your audience is really thinking about you. So and really they don't. Even if they care a little bit, they're only going to care for a couple hours and they're going to go on with their day and like it's like look at the news cycles at the big I always relate things to the highest level. So even like Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, right?
Right?
Okay. This
Yes.
dude is now being brought out to award shows. He's being on movies. Like he's fine. He did his apology. It was the talk of the internet for like a week, and then we all just moved on. And I remember somebody, who was it? It might have been Stephen A. Smith or something on his podcast or something. He's like, "Did everybody forget that Will Smith slapped the mess out of Chris Rock? Like, did everybody forget about this? Like,
Well,
we're just like,
what's
like,
interesting though? Well, speaking of Oscars, like Adrian Brody, who like kissed Halle Berry the last
yeah,
time, and that was without her consent. And
yes,
then last
yes,
night she walked up to him without
yeah,
his consent.
yeah,
Like, stuff does have a way of coming back around to you, but Adrian Brody, I don't care for him, and it doesn't matter that I don't care for him because there's a lot of people out there, obviously, who do like
right,
him, right?
right,
And I think that's what's worth recognizing. It's like, I will always love Will Smith. I'll love
yeah.
both of
I
them,
like Will Smith.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
It didn't change how I felt about him
yeah,
in that
yeah,
moment. I was like, well, there's some shit going on that I don't, you know what I mean?
yeah. That I
Like,
don't fully
I don't
understand or
really
know about.
I'm
Yeah.
like, but right now, like, you all work out your thing. It was just sadly, it was, for all the world to see,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so we are more exposed, but it's we it just goes back to not everyone loves Jennifer Aniston. Not everyone
Yeah.
loves, but they still do their work.
Yeah.
They still show up and they still tell their stories. And so for us as the entrepreneurs who are putting ourselves boldly out there in these spaces, there will be people in your comments that don't like you. And you know what I
Yeah.
say? Thank them.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
them. And it means you're doing something right.
Yeah. If you're getting and especially and once again at the highest level of these celebrities and these people that have gigantic audiences, there no matter how good you try to be, there's always some haters out there, no matter what. And it
Yeah.
just cracks me up to somebody being like, they're thinking they got like 300 followers and they're like, man, what about like what kind of content should I post? I want to make sure that everybody likes me and blah blah blah. And I'm like, you got 300 followers, like just post. Like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking all this stuff about?
Yeah.
It's like you don't need to have this PR strategy. Just post.
Just post something.
Yeah, just post something. Like you don't have enough people to even like worry about this right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there people get in their heads so much about this stuff. And I get it. I get it. You got your peers, you got your own circles and stuff. I get it. But at the end of the day, like it just doesn't matter. And also at the end of the day, I like if you have eyeballs on your business and on your brand, like it just beats everything.
Yeah.
Like no matter how much you hate Trump or not, or like him or whatever, the dude won. The dude won saying the most craziest stuff. I mean, doing the most craziest stuff. And he won. Because if you have the most eyeballs on you, you are at a competitive advantage. You just are. You just are. You could also have the most crappiest product and you still could sell crazy because you have eyeballs. You have those that attention on you.
It's
Um,
currency.
yeah, it's currency.
Yeah, it's the attention economy. That's what we are, in the attention economy.
100%.
Yeah, and so it's about
100%.
currency. And yeah, so I when I'm hearing you, Jamar, saying to our listeners right now and those who are watching us is get out there.
Yeah.
Stop with the excuses.
Yeah. You just have to, like, and so the only game plan you need is just, okay, I just need to post something every day.
Yep.
And what am I going to post? And obviously then if you hit a level of burnout, just take a second, gather yourself, and then go back at it.
Yep.
But trying to meticulously post something perfect once a week, it ain't gonna cut it nowadays.
No.
Like, it's just not. That's not gonna work. So you have to just be consistent. Just post something, and get some eyeballs on you. Get some attention, so you can get some leads, so you can get some traction going on your business, and so you can get booked, and then you can continue to grow. Because at the end of the day, you need attention.
Yeah, 100%. And I have to stop saying 100%. This is the second I say it like it's my filler word. I just had to point that out because I want everyone watching right now, including you, Jamar, to hold me accountable. All right. So what I'm encouraging people to do is use what's in front of you. If you're one of those people that's like, I don't have enough content to post, yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you
Yeah,
are doing your job
tons.
every day and you're meeting with clients or you're having conversations or you have a thought or an opinion about something, that that is information that can be posted. That is information that is like directly in front of you. So
Hmm. Hmm.
don't overthink, have fun, get in front of the camera. Jamar, this has been an amazing conversation.
Yeah, I had
Thank you.
fun. I
Thank
had
you
fun.
for doing this. I'm going to, for one more time, I'm going to put your QR code out here. So if you're watching, please scan this. Please go to Jamar's website, check him out because he has so many beautiful nuggets of wisdom that he can share with you. He's an incredible human. I'm so glad that I
Thank
know
you.
you. And so
Thank you.
let's keep supporting each other and lifting each other up. And if you need any support in either of these topics that we covered today, which was kind of quite a few, from public speaking, your personal brand, to getting on social media, please reach out to myself up in that left hand corner. You can scan my QR code or follow myself and Jamar here on LinkedIn. And thank you for being here. We'll be here again next month on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time for the Speakers Lounge so that you can continue growing and becoming that unforgettable speaker. All right. Take care.
Peace.